Welcome to the Ellis Martin Report on Money Talk Radio. I'm Ellis Martin. Joining me today in studio is Rick Revelins, Managing Director of Meryllion Resources Limited, a diversified exploration company with projects in Nevada and Tasmania. Meryllion Resources trades on the Canadian Securities Exchange, the CSE, under the symbol MYR, and in the United States on the OTC markets under the symbol MYRLF, giving U.S. investors direct access to the company. Meryllion is advancing a gold, silver, and antimony project in Nye County, Nevada, located near major producers, while also developing an iconic clay rare earths project in Tasmania, Australia, a style of rare earth mineralization that is lower cost and potentially simpler to bring into production than traditional hard rock projects. Rick brings a deep background in investment banking and public market, and today he'll be walking us through Meryllion's project portfolio, upcoming drill plans, funding strategy, and why the company believes it is well positioned in the current gold, silver, and critical minerals environment. Rick, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for coming to the studios here in Santa Monica today.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Rick, you're clearly Australian, running a Canadian company doing business in Nevada and visiting with me here in California.
We have two main projects, one in Australia, in Tasmania, and we have a second project in Nevada. So being in the US, I'm close to the project in the US, and I can move backwards and forwards to Australia to keep an eye on that as well.
To be clear, in addition to trading on the CSE, you also trade on the OTC, so it's fairly easy for American investors to get involved. I think you have somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 90 million shares all in, with a stock price of about 5 to 7 cents Canadian, somewhere in that area. How are you so underexposed in this incredible gold and silver market?
Very good question. We have been fairly quiet with our marketing so far. We only recently acquired the Nevada project, which is gold, silver, and antimony, and we're in the process of applying for drilling permits for that, which may take a little bit of time, but we really want to get in there and drill as soon as we possibly can.
Why did you pick Nevada and Nye County?
It's a perfect area for mineralization of this kind, and we are about 45 kilometers away from Kinross's Bald Mountain project, which has produced about 20 million ounces of gold to date. So that's a massive project. Kinross are a very large company. I think their market cap's somewhere around 44 billion. So we think we're in an excellent area in terms of finding another good-sized gold project.
How did you select that particular area and the Mackenzie project?
It was brought to us by a group that do a lot of work for a fund in New York. I won't drop any names, but they're on retainer for this major fund. The minimum requirement of that fund is a project's got to have the potential to produce at least 3 million ounces of gold or 200 million ounces of silver or both. And they assessed this project and they thought it was suitable. And when they brought it to the fund manager, said, look, we have enough early stage projects at the moment. We're not going to take on another project right now. So with that in mind, they were free to deal that project to another entity, and it just so happened that my finance director knew the geologist from the fund very well, and that's how we ended up with that project.
There are many funds that won't touch a greenfield project, even in this market, so really you got lucky.
We did get lucky. We're not exactly greenfields. There has been exploration work done previously, not recently. Sarco Exploration did some drilling back in the mid-80s, but in our opinion, they drilled too shallow, they drilled off structure, and they were looking for a different type of deposit. They were looking for a near-surface, open-pittable gold project, whereas our research and our geological interpretation has said this is an epithermal, low sulfidation, and it will be an underground project rather than a surface project.
You have the capacity to reach 3 million ounces. What do you have to do to get there?
What we intend to do first is fly a SkyTEM survey, which is a geological survey. We will then have to be permitted to drill, and that permitting process can take 6 to 9 months. The US government has introduced certain protocols that can speed up that process, so we're examining that as well. Once we have our drill permits in place, we would do a program and test our geological theory that we are in fact drilling in the right place and we are looking for the correct target.
Now, you believe you have antimony in Nevada. Any data on that?
There has been previous sampling by our consultants and very high antimony levels at surface, and we also believe it's an antimony-hosted gold-silver project. So the gold and silver sit inside an antimony halo.
So you're basically a polymetallic company. You're not marketing yourself more or less as precious metals or rare earth elements. You are simply all the above, correct?
In Nevada, that's correct. In Tasmania, which is our secondary project, that's a rare earths project, and that is quite different to what we are looking at in Nevada. And it's also quite different to most rare earth projects in the world, which are hard rock hosted. We have an Ionic adsorption clay, or IAC, hosted rare earths project, and most of these are found in southern China, and they're very different to hard rock projects in that they sit within these paleo channels close to surface. So the drilling and exploration is far cheaper. It becomes more of an earth-moving exercise rather than a mining exercise. The hard rock projects are very expensive to drill, metallurgically complex, and very capex intensive. So we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars worth of capex against a heap leach project that we could probably get into production for 100 million.
And you're drilling in Australian dollars, right?
We're drilling in Australian dollars, yes.
Now, the U.S. government investment in rare earths is substantial. Every day there's news out from one company or another that's getting an injection of maybe $100 million, $200 million. In fact, U.S. government's planning to inject $1.6 billion into U.S. rare earth, acquiring a 10% equity stake as part of a debt equity package. How are you building that relationship with the U.S. government now, not just with Nevada, but with Tasmania?
There's been a very strong link between the governments of Australia and the governments of the US, and a lot of cooperation along those lines. The US government has resources and time behind a number of companies, not necessarily US companies, but companies that have the ability to bring metals to the market in an efficient way. Our situation is that we are at an early stage on our projects, and it will be some time before we get to a position where we have a resource that would be of interest to either the US or the Australian government for further development.
What is the funding runway right now to help you get there?
We have raised small amounts of money along the way. We completed a $600,000 capital raising, which was done at 5 cents per share in early January, and we will be back on the road raising further capital to fund the development of the Nevada drilling, and also probably follow-up work in Tasmania, where we intend to start drilling in the next few weeks.
And Rick, I know the audience wants to know your background.
My background has all been in investment banking. I started with 2 British investment banks straight out of college, and then worked for a broking firm in Melbourne for a number of years, which became Merrill Lynch in Australia. And then I started my own investment bank about 35 years ago, so that dates me a little bit. And I'm still a director and shareholder of that. So it's all been on the finance side, but along the way, we've floated dozens of companies on the Australian Securities Exchange, on NASDAQ, on the AIM market in London. A couple of those are very well known in the Australian market. There's a company called Atlas Iron, which I was the chairman of, which went to about a $3 billion market cap. And Gold Road Resources, which I think is sitting around $2.5 billion. And I wasn't on the board, but we floated a company called De Grey Mining, which was just acquired by Northern Star for $5 billion. Now, that's not to say that they've all gone that way. Some have gone the other way, which is the way things happen in public companies and mining. But we've had some success in the past.
Many of the Australian companies on the ASX, for instance, and you're not trading on the ASX, but you are Australian, and that is your background, have floats of about 1 billion shares, 2 billion shares, 500 million shares. Their stocks that are at about 2 cents, 7 cents, what have you, or 1 cent. We don't have the situation with this particular company, MYRLF Resources, do we?
No, we have 87 million shares on issue at the moment. And it's quite funny because Australians love penny stocks. They love these small price stocks. I think it's probably a psychological thing where it just seems easier to get a stock from a penny to 10 cents than from $1 to $10. It's the same thing. It's all shares times price. The market caps might be the same, but I think the market psychology is different with lower price stocks.
We have that sort of psychology here in the U.S. It's called day traders and long-term investors, and I think this company potentially could be a win for both.
We would hope so, really only as good as your last drilling program. And we're about to embark on our first drilling program. We're highly confident of the results because there is a company on the ASX called ABX Group, and they're ticker code is ABX, and they already have established resources on their ground, and our tenements sit along strike and adjacent to theirs. So we're fairly confident we're going to hit the same type of grade as they will. The most important thing that they've shown is that recently, I think the announcement was on the 18th of December, they came out with some substantial results in terms of processing. They showed that they could process and obtain a high-grade mixed rare earth carbonate through simple heap leach. And heap leach is a very cost-effective method of extraction. So they've shown not only do they have the resources, that they can process those resources very cheaply and efficiently.
Where do you see this company within 2 to 5 years? What is the exit strategy if there is one?
We have two very separate and very topical projects. We have rare earths in Australia. We have antimony, gold and silver in the US. We'd like to be in a position where we have established resources under NI 43101 in the US or the JORC code, which is the equivalent in Australia. We would like to be in a position where we can show the feasibility of bringing both operations into production.
What was the calculus behind putting together an awareness campaign to reach potential new shareholders?
It doesn't matter what your project is or how good your project is if nobody's aware of it. And to date, we haven't been very active in promoting what the company is doing. And the reason for that is we really haven't had a lot of news. And you can only talk about what you've done. Now that we're preparing to drill, and drilling will be starting in the next few weeks in Tasmania, we thought now was the right time to start to get the story out there into the marketplace. And that's why we're working on these awareness campaigns. And there will be drilling results and news to follow. We expect to have results from our first campaign in early March.
Rick, once again, thanks for dropping by today. It's great to visit with you. I look forward to another visit very soon.
Thank you very much.
That was Rick Revelins, Managing Director of Meryllion Resources Limited, trading on the CSE under the symbol MYR and in the U.S. on the OTC markets as MYRLF. Meryllion Resources is advancing gold, silver, antimony, and rare earth opportunities across Nevada and Australia, with drilling programs planned and an active year ahead. To learn more about the company, visit MYRLLionRes.com. That's MYRLLionRes.com. I'm Ellis Martin, and this has been the Ellis Martin Report on Money Talk Radio. Thanks for listening, and stay with us as we continue to bring you the companies and people shaping the future of the resource sector.